Representative Bartow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for arranging for the hearing. I really appreciate you doing that. And I really want to express my gratitude for Mayor Giuliani. Your passion for our president is an example to us all for freedom. Thank you for heading up the fight. I want to also thank so many of the citizens of this state that knew that all of this was going on and have been so actively encouraging us to get to the bottom of the truth, to hear the evidence. And we've been hearing about it ever since the election, that these things were happening. And this hearing exceeded expectations in laying it all out by witnesses, firsthand testimony, experts in their fields. Thank you, Colonel, and others who so wonderfully expressed what you've been experiencing and the trouble you've gone to, the hours and hours of expertise you put into analyzing data so that we can, with our layman experience, understand what's been going on. It's been eye-opening, to say the least, and I just encourage. I'm grateful that we did this in a forum where it's on the record and people will have an opportunity to see this, because it's no longer just anecdotal. We have affidavits who have sworn affidavits who experienced these things. You know, I served as a district chairman in the GOP for several years, and alongside a lot of you in this room, and I never heard of volunteers at a polling place, at an election, experiencing what these people have, what many of you have. Being shoved somewhere and told you can't go here, you can't do that. Not being able to observe what you're supposed to be observing, getting shut down when you ask a question. These are not normal activities. So the question we have, and so the problem we have to overcome is our tendency to be too nice about this. Republicans want to go to work, enjoy our freedoms, and not make waves. This is our biggest hurdle, in my opinion, because despite all of this, and we will take next steps, I believe there will be next steps that we will take to get to the bottom of it, to do more investigations based on what was revealed here today. But we will have a lot of backlash because people just want to get on with their lives and accept the election results. And we can't do that because we don't have the evidence to do that. The evidence points in the other direction. It would be wrong. So I just want to, we have to want freedom more than we want comfort. And that's uncomfortable for a lot of us in our society because, you know, we're the ones that always want to capitulate. We want to go along to get along. But this is not a time for that. This is definitely not. I don't want to ramble like I have been already, but I just thank you again for the opportunity to serve at this point in history and plead with everyone that takes the time to watch this testimony and watch it all if you have a chance, to get involved, stay involved, and help us to keep our republic free by making sure we have voter integrity going forward. We have to address these things now. Thank you.
Representative Biasucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I first want to just ask everybody to give a round of applause to everybody who spoke and testified today in front of everybody. You know, it takes a lot of courage, a lot of guts to come and do something like that, and you're patriots, and I think we're all grateful for what you guys did here today. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I know that the panel appreciates it as well. Also, a big round of applause for Mayor Giuliani and her legal team and Jenna. You know, I can't imagine what you guys go through, what you've been going through, but when you're fighting for freedom, none of that matters. So I appreciate it. I know everybody else here does too. You know, before this hearing, before Pennsylvania, I think I, like so many other millions of Americans, we knew something was wrong, right? We knew something was off with this election. We didn't know what, but it didn't feel right. And all the people wanted, all they came to me, and I know everybody else up here on this panel and representatives in the crowd, they just wanted us to look into it. They just said, look, we just look into it for us. Something's not right. What's wrong with that? Even if you look into it and there's nothing, at least we looked into it. At least we eased the thoughts and our voters thought that something was wrong, and we gave them some closure. At least we did that. It would be easy for that to be the case. We go along, we move on, but after today's testimony and what some of these great witnesses have said, like the Colonel and others, I mean, I am angry, shocked that this is happening in our country. This is the United States of America. This is not some banana republic. Right? This shouldn't be happening here. And what happens if we do nothing about it? What happens if we just turn a blind eye and say, it's not worth fighting for? That's right. Tear up the Constitution. Why even have laws? Why even vote? It's our duty to fight back. It's our duty to expose the corruption. And I'm telling you right now, I promise you this, and I know everybody up here on this panel, representatives in this crowd, and all of you, we're going to fight. We're going to fight. Because I will not let this country go down. I will not lose the freedoms and the liberties that we've all been fighting for since day one.
Amen. Amen.
And I thank you all for standing up and being patriots. Thank you.
Senator Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been absolutely a wonderful experience to be here. I mean, I am so thrilled that we've been able to hear this testimony, to be able to get it out there in a public forum. And I, too, thank everybody that's been involved, and for the mayor coming, and for all those who participated. You know, when I turned 21 to celebrate, I didn't go to a bar. I went and registered to vote. I couldn't wait to vote. When I was born red, white, and blue. I tell you, I come from a family that has the love of freedom in our DNA. And my parents were raised in the Depression and World War II, and that's what I was raised on, as stories about those experiences. And talk about anti-communist. They taught their children, there's 11 in my family, and we were taught to love this country and about our Constitution and about how important it is to stand up and fight for these liberties. I'm an avid reader, and I have read all about, I know history. I know what's happened in Russia and the Soviet Union and the Cultural Revolution in China and Castro in Cuba and the Nazi Germany. And never in my life did I think that we would face what we're facing today in this country. You know, yes, this is about President Trump's presidency, but it's even more important than that. This is about because it's about saving this country, because this is a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. And if you destroy the electoral system to where our votes now mean nothing because we've got thugs in charge and thinking they can rip the vote away from us, we have destroyed this republic. We are no longer a republic. We are truly on the path of becoming a total socialist, communist, Marxist, all the isms that take away every aspect of our lives and every personal and individual freedom of our lives and control us. We are becoming part of that, and that's been the battle that we have been fighting so hard that I've tried to fight in my political career. And so it is so important that we continue down, not stopping until we expose the corruption that's out there. You know, all through this election, was involved in so many prayer circles and so many people that were praying. I believe so strongly that this country is for moral and virtuous people, and that's the only way we'll save it. That's the only way we can save it. And it is not moral and it's not virtuous to lie and to steal and to take away our precious freedom of voting and being able to have our vote really count. You know, the weekend of President Trump's inauguration in 2017, David Brock, head of Media Matters, put together a conference with over 100 liberal donors to map out how Democrats would kick Donald Trump. Media Matters, along with CREW, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, produced a big playbook of how they were going to get President Trump, and that impeachment was all the impeachment stuff and all the things he's been through for 4 years was part of that. In their playbook, they say Trump will be defeated either through impeachment or at the ballot box in 2020. Do you doubt them? Did you doubt that they were not going to keep on their path? They told us. It's out there in plain sight that we're under a coup. We are in a revolution. And we have got to decide which side we're on. Now, I'm ready to go and appoint the electors. But it's not that easy, ladies and gentlemen. But it's not going to be that easy. And I need to talk to you, Ms. Ellis. I had a lot of questions I wanted to ask about this because I know that it's a federal function, and in a federal function, power comes directly from the U.S. Constitution, and it isn't bound by state rules. So that's what I wanted to. I need to talk to you later about these questions I have about, because we are bound by some state rules about how we get into a special session. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. God bless all of us in this country, and I've been so thrilled that I could be here today and that I would be able to, this would be the last thing I can do as a state senator, is to be able to stand up for this election. So thank you so much. I love you all.
Senator Gowan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to say thank you to our president for the call-in. I mean, that was, isn't that that was awesome. And I just want to say for what he's done for our nation as well. We are the greatest nation on earth, right? And he brought us back to where the world remembers that. That's the biggest thing. So, you know, what he's done for us is just tremendous. And your team, you and your team, thank you for being here and showing us all the things that were exposed today. I'm intrigued. I'm blown away, you know, with the issues that I've heard. You know, it disturbs me because of the allegations that we've heard here today. And I'm actually kind of blown away too that you're not getting a day in court after what I've heard here today. And I presume that's been presented to the court to show them. And if we're just touching it, it's just interesting to me. It just, again, I'm blown away. I'm sure everybody is right here, right? You know, and I'm also perturbed that we have this Dominion system. It's run by a foreign company for our elections. That's disturbing. So, you know, bringing that to light is very interesting. That's something that we can look at, certainly fixing as well. But you never know when it goes out of country where those votes go, right? Or what happens, or the issues at hand with that. And that's why I'm also surprised that we haven't done a full hand count or audit to look at these allegations to say, hey, this is right or that's right, or something's going on here. That's the crazy thing, I'm telling you. You know, it's also apparent to me we need to fix a lot of things that are happening in our elections. And certainly, you talk about shining a bright light on the issues at hand that have occurred, showing in the past, and it took something like this, took a president like this to actually stand up and say, hey, look at what's happening. And you know, I'm thankful for that. Look, we all know the old saying, right? If you're Republican, you got to win by 2% or more. I mean, that's the issue at hand, and I think we're seeing a lot of that occur right here, and right in front of our eyes, we're seeing a lot of testimony from eyewitnesses proving certain situations have occurred that we probably all had something in our mind before about, and here they are coming forward and speaking on those issues. A lot of things that need to be fixed. I would say thank you to all the people who gave testimony today. I mean, that is courageous, very courageous to come out. You know, I'm just one of those dumb guys that gives my burden to God, right? So I just come and do what I'm supposed to do. That's why I'm sitting here. So I know others, it's frightening to get up here and do that. And God bless you, and thank you for being a patriot, as one of my colleagues has said down there. I just want to let you guys know, you know, it's going to be my pleasure to continue to fight for you and fight for this great state and our nation. So we're going to continue forward and fight. And what I want to say to you guys is God bless you, and thank you for serving and coming and serving your nation in this manner that you're doing as well. And for those online and watching on TV, you're watching because you believe in this great nation, and we believe in you. So we're going to continue to fight, like I said. So God bless you.
Senator Borelli.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I grew up in a tough neighborhood. You know, when I was growing up, we always thought that FBI stood for Forever Bothering Italians. And what I learned in school was, you know, what comes after a sentence is an appeal. But I think FBI should actually change the name to Force a Biden Investigation. But Mayor, it's really a pleasure and honor to be with you today, and it's a good thing you're not prosecuting me, so I'm happy for that. You know, I'm going to quote something that was going back a little bit of history, dated on 5/16/17. Our election was hijacked. There is no question Congress has a duty to hashtag protect our democracy and hashtag follow the facts. Nancy Pelosi. And now we're all called a bunch of conspiracy theorists, which is kind of amazing. And listening to the testimony today, I find it ironic that a company in Canada, Canadian company, is not even being used in Canada, who uses nothing more than paper ballots, hand count. I find it ironic and appalling that our folks got lazy looking for an easy way to doing things, a more efficient way of doing things, but you know what? Electronics can be corrupted, and maybe we need to go back to that and learn something from Canada, our neighbors to the north. And, you know, by hearing all the ballots away, we might get rid of this one, disqualify that one. I think it would be poetic justice if President Trump won by 20 votes. I took an oath 43 years ago when I joined the Marines. I've been through all kinds of places throughout this world when I was in service, and I've been to some countries that were not so garden spots. And I remember being in Thailand in 1981 when they just got done with a coup, and the European visitors and everybody that was there, they were happy to see that red, white, and blue out in the harbor with us Marines and sailors that we could possibly come to the rescue. Of course, we thought we were just going on a normal operation in Liberty. Thank God it was just we went on Operation in Liberty. We didn't have to get involved. But when we left Thailand, we had to stop and take up on board 18 Vietnamese refugees. This is 1981, and the oldest of the children was 18 years old. None of them were involved in that war at all, but we took them aboard and to take care of them. They were out there floating around in the dead water for weeks. Took them on board, cleaned them up, gave them some uniforms. Of course, a lot of them our camis didn't fit them all, but we took care of them because that's what Americans do. And I'm proud that my 22 years in the service was in that reflection, that we are that beam of light, that hope. Last year, I went to Italy for the very first time with my colleague and my seatmate, which I like to call my teammate, Representative Leo Biasucci. And he's a first-generation American. So we went to his dad's hometown, and Dad was there with us. And his dad, we went on his trip. And we got to meet the mayor of the small town where his dad grew up. And he's like the big hero of Leo Biasucci, one of the sons of our town. And the pride and admiration they had for him being an elected official in the United States was awestruck. It was unbelievable. I felt so much pride. Anyway, we were under attack a lot for the last couple of weeks trying to force something, a hearing. Representative Fitchum was trying to get a hearing in the House, couldn't get it done. I tried to get things done with the Senate. There was some obstacles, this and that, a lot of arguments back and forth. And then we got all kinds of hate email when we decided we're going to do this. And people were calling me up. I got death threats. I had all kinds of crazy stuff, which is, I'm surprised I made it past 25 years old. So I'm not really, I care. But, and I had to tell some friends, I'm like, if I see corruption and I see evidence, I can't look the other way. Like I said, I took an oath 43 years ago. There's no expiration date on that oath. And I grew up in a world where honor, courage, and commitment was an everyday way of life. That's not a marketing slogan. That's just the way it is. You had quoted one of the pieces of the last sentences of the Constitution, which I actually text that back to them. But, you know, I had to take these notes down, but voting is not just an obligation, but it is a right. It's an enshrined in our Constitution. But let me remind you all, that was paid for with blood, with the blood of patriots. Overseas ballots, like I said, I was overseas. I'm convinced that some of my overseas ballots never even counted. So was I disenfranchised? Did they get counted? Did they get switched? Who knows? I don't know. So to look the other way after hearing this testimony would be a dishonor to those my brothers and sisters in uniform. It would dishonor our forefathers and even my own father, who was a Korean War veteran, and to the citizens of every American that we were sworn to serve in this state. So I'm going to do this nice quote because there's some really brilliant people wrote this. And it's the last part of the Declaration of Independence. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection and divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not over. Surrender is not in my creed. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a long day. This day started a month ago. When we knew what was coming, we knew that there was a tidal wave. Some of us have been planning for this as long as 3 months ago. Because we saw what was coming, we prepared our legal briefs, we've done everything we could do to prepare for a flood, a tidal wave. I want to thank the mayor, Jen Ellis, Commissioner Carrick, Catherine Freese, Colonel Waldron. If it wasn't for you, we'd be dead in the water. Indeed. Indeed. It's exceedingly hard for me to place a label on what we've heard other than racketeering. Good old-fashioned mobster racketeering. But on a grand scale, I know that President Trump, once he arrived at the swamp, said, okay, how am I going to clear this thing? I don't know that he realized that the plug is so deep there's not enough chain. One of my favorite statements comes from James Madison. If men were angels, no government would be needed, would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men, over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and the next place, oblige it to control itself. Ladies and gentlemen, I have not seen one single government entity in the United States ever give up a scintilla of power once it seized it. Not once. We have endless executive orders from mayors, from governors, and I'm not hooting on our governor, I'm hooting on all governors. You don't have the authority to make me safe. That's my job. My wife is not going to let me say this, but as I look around this room, I'll substitute a word. I'm absolutely outraged by the excuse that's been used for an 800-person ballroom to be limited to 160 people. Now let me turn to the vote the election that we've been talking about. It's interesting to me, I'm going to repeat this, why so many people call for civil rights. To be fortified, to be enforced, to be protected, but there's virtually no call for the most supreme civil right, And that is for our franchise to give the consent to be governed. That's what Mr. Madison was talking about. That's what our entire government, 5,000-year leap, if this goes away, God help us, because it will be gone. Because you will have to have at least a few men to stand on a green and fire their rifles at the best military machine ever conceived in the 1700s. Think about that for a moment. They knew if there was going to be a war, let it start here. That was a conscious decision. Why? Because they were sick and tired of tyranny. What we're experiencing right now is a form of tyranny that is insidious. This is our nation. This nation doesn't belong to Belgium, doesn't belong to George Soros. Yeah, that's right, I said the Soros word. Okay? I have the question, I guess, in my mind, will history judge us as acting objectively today? I love the fact that this panel has been so objective that they have, I mean, we're at 7:24. I told them we would be done no later than 7:30, so I guess I better wrap this up. But think about all of the thoughtful, deliberative questions that have been asked by these people. That's strength. That's courage. I hope that out of this, besides calling for a special session, which I am doing right now, I hope even more than a special session, we see a series of grand juries convened. There is so much criminal behavior that has gone on in this state and states around the country. I believe that it's time for our Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney to start perp walking some people. I am glad that you are fired up. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a skirmish. You ain't seen nothing yet. Because when Satan wants to extinguish a light, he will stop at nothing. So be on your guard, put on the full armor of God, and be prepared to fight. Thank you. I am asking my colleagues to please consolidate your notes over the next 24 hours. And I'm hopeful that we will have a work product that we can at least vet with our leadership in both the House and the Senate. This is what we have heard. This is the resolution that we would like to have heard. It's going to take some work. I mean, we're talking about a pretty fast cycle time. But I think that we've got the talent here, certainly. And I think that we can do that. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. Senator Borelli.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know about you folks, but I think that he would be a great Secretary of State. Let's give it up for Mark Fitcham.
I think I'll have to have a conversation with somebody at home before that happens. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We do need to clear out of here because we are over time. Thank you.